Is that why? That's so weird. There's like two snowballs on my thing. Okay. So let me make sure it's coming up on here. And is that why? Okay. Yeah, there we go. That's so weird. that's that's really weird. All right. So anyway, let's now that we fixed that little issue, we got to talk about this. This is so crazy. All right. So um Gummy Phone on Instagram just released a video of the official pilot of the Kingdom Hearts cartoon that was supposed to come out back in 2003, or at least was being developed in 2003. And we knew about this for a little bit because there were snippets of this sort of thing released, like some concept art and a short synopsis, and kind of why it didn't get greenlit. And the reason mainly was because the the big cheeses at the time felt it was a little too much of a departure from the original, well, from the game, because it was based off of that, right? You know, Kingdom Hearts was first. It first started as a game, then it branched off into other things like manga, for instance. Right now, that and the light novels, those are the only adaptations of the game out right now. And honestly, it makes all the more reason why a cartoon would work nowadays, because the manga is super popular, very fun, and the light novels not so much, but they were still very fun. But I had to break out my Kingdom Hearts hat in celebration of this awesome discovery. I guess not quite completely awesome, because it would have been amazing if this show actually had gotten greenlit. It really makes me wonder, like, what if this show had gotten greenlit? But I just wanted to go over some of the stuff that was talked about for this. So I'm gonna pull it up on you on Instagram here real quick. So like I said, big shout out to Gummy Phone. They are the person I look out for the most when it comes to Kingdom Hearts related material. So today they posted it. It was about 8 hours ago, and this was the Lost Kingdom Hearts pilot animatic. It's actually on YouTube now, so you can check out the full thing. How long is it actually? Let me see. It's about 10 minutes. So it's actually pretty cool. It's not like a complete animation. They're mostly stills, but they have full voice acting with so it's like the storyboard basically. It's a moving storyboard, fully colored, and like I said, fully voice acted. The original voice actors from Donald and Goofy are there. Jafar, Maleficent, Sora, Donald, and Goofy don't. Wow, I meant to say Sora, Goofy. Why does Goofy keep coming up? Goofy, why do you? I love you, man, but why do you keep coming up in my mind like that? That's weird. But Sora, Riku, and Kairi, their voices sounded different for some reason. I don't know if it's because how young they were back then, or maybe for some reason they just brought in different actors, which is very weird, honestly. But anyway, so the Lost Kingdom Hearts pilot animatic. So Seth Kearsley was the one who released this, and his statement for this was, "I don't own this. I claim no rights to any part of this except that this is my work. I am not profiting from it. I want to show my work. It's been 20 years." Yeah. This is not without its flaws, which I have no doubt will be pointed out, but I was really proud of the story we were able to tell in the time that we had. Setting up the entire premise of a series and doing a typical episode is a tall order. I feel like we pulled that off, and when they tested it with kids, it tested better than anything else they were testing in that round. Yeah. So, as a short kind of synopsis of how this goes, it pretty much starts off from the very beginning of the of the game almost. We have Sora, Riku, and Kairi on the island, and interestingly enough, Sora already has his Keyblade, and there has this moment where they're fighting the Heartless, and the dark side appears and tries to swallow Sora as he's fighting him. He wakes up on the gummy ship, holds a picture of Sora and his his best friends Riku and Kairi, saying, "I'll find you, I promise." So you start seeing more things like this where it's Jiminy Cricket kind of narrating how the Heartless are attacking these worlds, and it's up to these three to stop it, and how Goofy and Donald were requested by King Mickey to find the kid who was carrying the key. So we all know with pilots, a lot of things change with pilots. It's a proof of concept. It's just to kind of show the potential of what this could be because it has potential, right? So I can't think of a single pilot where a lot of things didn't really, or excuse me, I can't think of a pilot where things didn't change. Most pilots are very different from how the show or how the show officially begins. But like I said, it's not 100%. It's not 100 proof. Some pilots I'm sure aren't that far different, but a lot of pilots, especially cartoon pilots, typically are vastly different. So I can understand what Disney's concern was with this. So some of the bigger differences with this, I would probably say, is how Riku and Maleficent's how their what's it called? How their relationship is. So it's interesting because Riku has this. He's kind of pulling a fast one on Sora, where this series kind of shows more of Maleficent's dark manipulation, more of that hold on Riku. Something that I always thought was kind of cool that they should have established in this series, and it's actually very, very interesting. I think that the way the characters are shown in this series, I think, is a bit more fun than what we've seen in the game, and at least in the first game. They have a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good comical things that kind of capture that magical element that the first game did. And I'm not saying it's been lost in the series, but I think there was something different about one. Um, but there are a few things that definitely should change. Like in the cartoon here, they have Sora telling Donald and Goofy to keep a low profile when it's supposed to be Donald and Goofy who are the ones upholding the low profile, aka the world order, by not bringing a lot of attention to themselves, not really stepping into a lot of boundaries or a lot of things. And of course, that's sort of they kind of forget about that after the first game, but it's not really a big deal. It doesn't really, it doesn't really like what's the word? It's not something I feel is a major issue, honestly. But that's something you could easily rework into the true first episode. Kind of just switch it around, where Sora has to come into grips that hey, I need to find my friends, but I gotta pay respect to the guys who are helping me. I gotta play it by their rules, otherwise I could end up causing more problems for us. That it's that simple. Donald and Goofy are the experienced ones here. Sora is the newbie. So I kind of think that kind of back and forth they would have is really cool. But it's interesting here, like with Sora and Riku, you get to see more of that camaraderie that we kind of saw a little bit in Destiny Islands, more of that rivalry, that friendship where they're always competing with each other. Like when they're in Agrabah, they have all these Heartless come and surround them, and Riku's like, "All right, I'll take the big one, you take the rest of them. You want to race doing this?" And they start fighting, but Sora takes on the other horde, and Donald and Goofy help him, and you see Riku kind of getting jealous, and you see that in Kingdom Hearts 1 where Riku is like, who are they? When when they're introduced, and Donald says that kind of messed up thing where they can't take Riku with them on their ship, and it's like, come on, dude, you could use all the help you can get, but he doesn't. But I like this, like you see something's off because in this pilot, as they're fighting, not really paying attention to Riku, he just snaps and the Heartless disappear, showing you that something is not right with Riku. I mean, we already knew that from the get-go when we saw him conversing with Jafar and Maleficent, but now it's like, oh, he has some powers right now. But I think that's my biggest complaint with Agrabah. That's my biggest issue with this pilot. They made it feel so hollow because Maleficent, when Jafar is like, all right, send me to find this diamond in the rough in Agrabah. It's my home. I know I can find it better than anyone on our team right now, of course. Maleficent pays him no mind and just shoves him out out of the whole area. Like she like force pushes him, which was pretty funny. And like I said, I encourage you to watch this. It was so fun, and I every time I watch it, I've watched it like 5 times. I feel like I get so bummed out that this was not included. Like they didn't even try to make this into something. It's so good. Now, of course, being someone outside of that industry, I don't get it. I'm not going to fully understand the full complete story as to why they didn't pick this up outside of, oh, it was not close enough to the original, when they could have just changed what they didn't like. When is that not a problem for them? Maybe there was something between them and Square Enix that had an issue. I don't know. But you figure this was in 2003 when they already saw how popular Kingdom Hearts 1 was. When they first made Kingdom Hearts 1, they knew it was a gamble, but they wanted to take the risk. And look where we are now. A flagship title for Square Enix. So, like I said, Maleficent pays Jafar no mind and sends Riku off to Agrabah. Gotta admit, it's a little weird not having him and Jafar work together, but it was kind of comical. But I feel like if that's one thing that they needed to change, I feel like, for this episode, because they didn't have any of these characters in the Agrabah part. So I feel like the way to make Agrabah, in any Disney world not hollow, is to, I don't know, include the Disney characters that live in those worlds. And like I said, that's my major issue with this pilot. Other than that, it was great. Like the things that happened with Riku, and Sora, when you start to realize the dark hold that Riku has, that Maleficent has on Sora, and what Sora is willing to do to overcome his fears and to grow into the hero that we know him to be in the Kingdom Hearts game series. So, regardless whether or not you like the fact that Riku takes the lead into Agrabah, or they work together, we know this from the start. It's Jafar. He's not going to play nice. He has that type of ego where he's not going to let a 15-year-old boy show him up. Even if Maleficent herself gives Riku the lead, Jafar's not going to give a crap. Even if he is a little bit intimidated or is however he feels about Maleficent, he's going to do his utmost best to outshine Riku and show that he is the one who should be the leader, taking the lead, whatever. So I feel like having that dynamic between the two, also as Riku is trying to show Sora, like, hey, this is what we need to do to save Kairi. Because there literally is a part in this episode where Riku tries to get the wow, I cannot talk, the lamp, and it opens up this gateway for the Heartless to come through, and that's when you see that the Heartless are with Riku, and he tells Sora, like, dude, look at these things. Do you really think we can fight this? No, we have to join them. We have to have them work with us. There's no way we can win. This is how we save Kairi. And I'm like, that makes sense. And you kind of see a snippet of that in the first game. But I feel like this is a little bit different. It's a little bit better of a story for Riku than what we see in Kingdom Hearts 1, because it kind of feels like Riku has this jealousy where he feels like Sora replaced him with Donald and Goofy. And you can kind of play into that into the pilot, kind of explore that a little bit better. But I feel like while it was a cool story for Riku, and we can't lie, Maleficent was manipulating him. It wasn't just his jealousy. But I feel like, on top of the fact that Riku feels that they can't beat the Heartless, they have to fight with them, or at least have a allegiance with them. I think that is a much better story arc for Riku, and shows that he's scared and realizes that this is what we have to do. And it's cool because you see this dynamic with Sora, where he's your typical protagonist, where he has his little moments, yes, but my friends are my power. That's his thing. So if he realizes that if he has his friends with him and he is confident in himself too, he will fight until his last breath. Where Riku wants to believe that, but he's also one of those. He's a realist in the way where he's gullible for sure. I mean, like I said, look what happened with him, Maleficent. But I feel like the the I mean, should I really say realist or maybe just strategist? There we go. Maybe that's another thing too, where it's something where he just feels this is the best thing we can do. Like I still, I don't want to fight you, but I just want to show you like this is what you're up against if you fight if you go against us. I'm trying to help you. And what was really cool is that when he does this, when the Heartless appear, he like Sora is fighting the Heartless to make his way up to him because Riku says, "Dude, you're no hero. You're just a kid. Look at this. Look at this from a realistic standpoint. We are kids." So Sora doesn't want to hear any of this. So he's finding his way, and then Riku kind of snaps out of it, where he like drops the lamp and goes, "Sora, you got to believe me. That was not me. I blacked out. I don't know what happened." And then, as the portal of the Heartless disappear, the dark side grabs Riku as he's trying to grab Sora's hand, and they call out like "No!" and then Riku disappears into the darkness. So when you go back to the Hollow Bastion castle, Maleficent asks if Sora believed what Riku did, and Riku just says he has to. So it's interesting to think that you kind of see that there's definitely something off with Riku where he's definitely manipulated, but I feel like there's more of it going on where he's maybe where there's legitimately a caste under him, and also the fact that he really does believe that this is the only way to do it, and he has to kind of leave breadcrumbs for Sora to bring the key to them, because Riku believes that Sora wouldn't flat out join them if he thought he was with the Heartless, or at least he wanted to see how Sora would react. So since he showed that Sora wasn't going to go with that, he fell back on the I'm just being manipulated thing. So it's very cool. I really really dig this story. And like Seth said, I can't stress this enough. Look what he said here. This is not without its flaws. He acknowledges this, which I have no doubt will be pointed out, but I was really proud of the story we were able to tell in that time we had. Dude, like that's all you would have needed to fix. Like just throw in like I know they're going to be a little limited with the runtime, the episode structure and all of that. But all of that was only in 10 minutes. And you figure your basic cartoon is about 22 minutes. So all they need to do, like you could pretty much have an entire world per episode or two. Like make it so it's like 2 episodes, so that way you don't have to rush everything, because that's a lot of characters to go through, especially when you bring in Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Maleficent, Riku, Kairi, etc. So probably doing like 2 episodes just so you can get a little bit of extra stuff out and play around with some other things that the first game couldn't do. Like imagine if Deep Jungle for the cartoon, we got to actually see the professor, we got to see Tantor and actually hear Turk and all the other animals talk, which we didn't get to see in Deep Jungle. That was my biggest issue with Deep Jungle. Like it made sense why we couldn't hear them talk, because they were literally speaking a different language and Tarzan had to teach Jane and the professor to understand them. And they do establish that in the game that there is a language barrier. But that's where you can have fun. You can have fun with that in the game. I mean, in the cartoon. Like, imagine if Donald and Goofy were just fluent in that because they're animals too, and they picked up English as a second language. Imagine how funny that would be if they just threw that in there, and it's just Sora who's like, uh, what are y'all talking about? I don't understand this language. That would be pretty cool. Like, the potential is so fun, and it's such a shame that 20 years later we're just now seeing this animatic, and it's like this could have been such a successful show. And here's the thing too, Like one concern as well was that oh, there we go. So, um, one thing about this is one concern I remember them talking about is they didn't want to risk having the show mess up anything for future installments of the game, do anything off. But it's like, sorry, that's my phone going off. We were playing Overwatch 2 earlier. Pretty fun game, by the way. But it's like, there it's crazy to me when someone like me, I'm just an average Joe, not in that industry at all. I'm just a fan, and I'm able to come up with stuff that I know people would really love. I checked this, and there were so many positive things in the comments, so many people loving it. And this is what I commented on it, and people were really enjoying what I said about it too. Like one person said, I wish Disney greenlit this. Um, OMG, like this is so awesome. Like, man, like this would have been half of my childhood. People, like some people were kind of like about it, but it's understandable because, like I said, the Agrabah being so hollow was probably an issue. Someone said no Tarzan world, but it's like that. Come on, how can you hate on Tarzan? If they did it right, if they did it justice, like I love Deep Jungle in the first game. I'm a little biased, but if they did it like proper justice with all the right characters used, like Deep Jungle for me was like it was like a B. It was like a B minus. So still pretty good, but if they added in the other characters and moved around a few things, it would have been like an A for me. So what I said in on this video was, I can't believe they didn't greenlit this. I mean, yeah, it was very different from the game, but that's the point, right? This is an adaptation. Like how different the manga is, for instance. This is amazing. All they needed to do is change a few things around in the story, and it would have been excellent. Like the dialogue was phenomenal, but Agrabah, without a doubt, needed to have Jafar, Aladdin, and the gang in there. Otherwise, it just feels hollow. Like that's definitely, without a doubt, a major misstep. And I think that probably was what messed up this pilot mostly for Kingdom Hearts. For this is that they kind of just didn't use a lot of the Disney characters. I mean, they did, but not in the proper worlds. Like, how do you have an Agrabah world, but you don't see anything with Aladdin or Jasmine or the Sultan either? Like, that's weird. How we've not. I think we saw the Sultan maybe in the mobile games or the DS one, 358 or two over 2 days. I don't remember, but either way. So, but yeah, I mean, it's an adaptation. We can see already, like, there's a lot of things that changed, but you can look at this and still say, hey, that's a Kingdom Hearts product. And that's what you need to do. Like, that's the best thing about an adaptation. Like, as long as you are able to make this adaptation and people are able to look at it and still identify it as a proper, what's it called? As a proper product of that respected material, you're doing a good job as a start. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a pilot, so you can change up some things and make it so it's proper. And that's all you really needed to do is just have those characters in there and play the roles correctly. Like, and that's it. It's that simple. But I know, going back to something I kind of overstepped a little bit, not overstepped, but stepped over, I should say. One thing I thought, which was kind of an easy way to fix, or rather, um, be able to one thing you could do to stop this one issue, because one thing the company was talking about was they didn't want the game, or the cartoon rather, to get in the way or mess up any of the stories for the games. Excuse me, not to not spoil anything or whichever, like anything that would get in the way of that storytelling, like kind of hindering it. So here's the thing, it takes quite a bit of time to develop this story. So, how about this? You keep in contact with the people who are working on the story with the games. You sign a contract so none of the storylines or anything get leaked or anything like that. And you I don't know, keep good contact with each other so that way you know what story's going on. So, and that way you release the game ahead of the cartoon. It's that simple. It's really that simple. Like, I know there would be a little bit of a delay, but it's like, who cares? In the meantime, you could do other things where, okay, so Kingdom Hearts 1 comes out. You have the game release, you have the cartoon release, like, I don't know, a month or a few weeks afterwards. And then while that happens, you keep in contact with the people who are working on the chain of memories and just work alongside them and do it that way. Like, granted, the cartoon production probably would have gotten done a lot faster than the game, and I can see where that issue could be. Just put it on hiatus. But that's what I mean. Like, if you have the same people, like the same voice actors who are working on the game, work on the game on the game, go to the cartoon, then you don't have to worry about keep having these actors and people going on hiatus as long when they can just go between the projects. Because granted, Chain of Memories was on the GBA, so they didn't need any voice actors for that, really. But you could at least make that game stand out by having the cartoon and do it that way, because I didn't even know about Chain of Memories for a while. A lot of people went into Kingdom Hearts 2 not knowing Chain of Memories was a thing. I mean, the fact that they released on the Game Boy Advance as a sequel to a PlayStation 2 game, that I'll never understand why they thought that was a good idea. But yeah, I mean, this would have been a great thing to kind of advertise the game too, but I feel like it still would have been a little weird, but I don't know. You could do other things too, like just do random wacky segments with the characters. I don't know. There's so many things I feel like they could have did, and they just got cold feet, I guess. But I don't know. I heard there are rumors of this coming back at some point, but I don't know. But I know there are some things they would have had to change, like I said, with Agrabah, bringing in more of the characters. But the fight scenes looked very fun. It was cool to see the characters like really actually getting knocked around a bit, like Goofy, Donald, Sora. They were actually getting knocked around by the Heartless, and they actually had to do certain strategies. Like, I'm watching it as I'm talking, and it's just fun seeing how they all interact. Like, at one point, a Shadow Heartless plucks a feather off of Donald for some reason. And one of the pot spiders starts spinning and smacking the crap out of Goofy. And by the time it stops, he's like, "Oh, I guess it's nap time," and it just goes unconscious. It's like, bruh, like, why isn't this a thing? Uh but it's sad. It's sad because, like, I really feel for Seth, because 20 years he had this. He worked so hard on this. You can tell, even though they're just storyboards, you still have to produce all that stuff. Like, he did it fully colored, and you got all the voice work and all that stuff done. And for it to just be in a vault somewhere on a flash drive somewhere for 20 years, that sucks, man. That really sucks. And you know what? Imagine the hype for this when, like, so we all know that Kingdom Hearts 3 took forever to come out. If the cartoon was still around, imagine the hype this cartoon would have had when Kingdom Hearts 3 was like about to come out, and the cartoon gets out the hype, like, yeah, we're coming back with the game. But the other thing too is there was pretty much a new Kingdom Hearts game like every year. So this could have been a flagship series, brew. I said brew. I meant to say bruh. But, like, that's the cool thing too, is like, this cartoon could have been crazy, because now you have all these different mediums, because of course we all know that the game is the established canon, but the manga has its fun, it's its own canon. Then we can have the cartoon that's its own canon too. And, like, if anyone wants to have their official head canon, they could be like, oh, I mean, I consider the cartoon the head canon, I consider the manga the head canon, or the game. I mean, that's part of the fun, right? We all know at the end of the day the true head canon is the game. We all know this. But if we want to consider this our head canon, why not? It's our head canon. That Who cares? It's canon in its own right. You know what I mean? Because these are all these are all separate universes. So they can do whatever to a degree. They still have a foundation they have to build off of, but like I said, it's an adaptation for a reason. So it's just fun to see all these different scenarios play out. But like, they would have stayed busy for sure, because you have Kingdom Hearts 1, then you have Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep. Come on. Come on. Who wouldn't have wanted to see a cartoon of Birth by Sleep where we get to see more of Xehanort behind the scenes, more of Vanitas, more of all these other things that the cartoon could have established more than what the game did? Because that was my biggest issue with Birth by Sleep and 2, is that we didn't get to see a lot of the bad guys behind the scenes. And I think that would have been great to see. I would have really appreciated that. And, 358 over 2 days. Recoded, even though Recoded would have been kind of cool, because there were some nice story elements in there that were kind of interesting, even though Recoded for me I feel like is the weakest of this series. But like, this could have been awesome, and just keep it, just keep it as just one season. They can kind of be not quite anthology, because it all connects, but since all stories don't follow just Sora, they could be anthology. Like, so season 1 Kingdom Hearts, season 2 Chain of Memory, season 3 Kingdom Hearts 2, season 4 Birth by Sleep, etc., etc., etc. And I mean, it's that simple. It is that simple. And I feel like this cartoon would have been perfect. I think the cartoon could have fixed a lot of things that the Kingdom Hearts games have problems with. But let's be honest, nothing's perfect. The cartoon would have had its problems too. But yeah, I just had to bring this up. This is definitely going to be a podcast episode as well, but I wanted to stream this for YouTube, for Twitch, and my podcast. Both Kingdom Hearts, both my retrospective series, Your Favorite Heartless, and also A-OK, because I need to get the word out. We need to spread the word and tell Disney and Square Enix to to grow the cojones to greenlit this. You want to. Like, it's money. We know and we know that y'all love money. Make this a thing. Put it on Disney Plus. Come on. So there you have it. There's so much to talk about. Like, the art is so good. I love that these characters, like Sora, Riku, and Kairi, they do have a little bit more of a Disney influence on them this time around. They don't look as much as Square Enix, and that's not really a bad thing, because they still have the spiky hair. They still got the outfits that Tetsuya Nomura drew them with, and that's good. They still have that nice little hybrid. But I do appreciate the more Disney design that they have. But yeah, man, it's just I seriously can't stop watching it, and it's great to see like the interior of the gummy ship, how they're able to look out the viewpoint, and it's like in the shape of a Mickey Mouse's emblem. And I like that there's some scenes where you can see the visual representations of the worlds as we see them in the games. It's just so cool, man. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, for instance, I don't cap it here because I don't want to talk about this for too long. But this one's kind of off topic, so mainly off topic for my Kingdom Hearts retrospective. But this is kind of going into the same line art. What? I'm just making up words. I know that's a real word, but that's not the right word I wanted to use. This is going into the same kind of discussion as greenlit stuff, and how some things may not be greenlit. So every day that goes past, I know it hasn't been a year yet, but every day that goes past where we haven't heard anything about like Pibby, learning with Pibby, I get a little bit nervous. And if we don't hear anything by the exact year that this cartoon has been like pointed up, I'm going to be very sad. But right now, I'm actually working on a few things as an update for all my stuff in general. So, first major update, I'm going to be cutting my book in half, my first book in half. So instead of about 500 pages, the first book's going to be about 250 to about 300 pages. I think it's going to be a better way to have it a little more simplified, a little bit easier to digest. So that way it's more self-contained when it goes to the other books, because originally the first book was going to be like the introduction, and then you go into Oz, and then the next book goes into Wonderland, et cetera, et cetera. So this first book is going to do the establishment of everything, and then it's going to go into Oz in the second book, and then the third book's going to be Wonderland, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So just wanted to make that announcement for anyone who's interested in that thing, so that way I can actually get this book published this year, because I was my goal, and I'm going to be able to do it now that I cut the book in half, because I have to do way less work than I had to before, and I feel like it'd just be easier to manage. Next point is Pibby. Going back to that, if Pibby does not get greenlit, I'm going to make my own Pibby. Legit. I wish I brought my tablet to show y'all a picture of it, but after you listen to this or watch it, whatever you're doing, just check out my TikTok. I'll be posting an update on that character as I'm finished drawing her. But I have a character named Piper. And I'm gonna do kind of like a Wreck-It Ralph styled Pibby story, and I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna do it if Pibby doesn't get greenlit, because I love that story so much, and I need to do a proper dedication to it, because like the Kingdom Hearts cartoon, I hate it. I hate it with all my heart when potential isn't fully realized, when things that have the potential to go so far are cut short because of closed-minded people, closed-minded companies, industries, whatever. I hate that. It happens all the time in this industry. And I hate it when we have the resources to make something so beautiful, so impactful, and the only thing that's stopping it is someone else. Something that's out of our control. So because of that, that's why I want to make this new project. And honestly, whether or not PB does get greenlit, even if it does get greenlit, I still want to do it. But I'm preparing myself for inevitability. Wow, for the inevitability. There we go. I can enunciate. I assure you, PB not being greenlit, because it's looking kind of dicey since there is a company merger with Warner and Discovery right now. So we'll see. But yeah, I wanted to just make that announcement as well. There's probably nothing really I can do with the Kingdom Hearts thing outside of just talking about it. Maybe I can kind of do a story kind of based off of how Riku and them were in this, but I don't know. I'm trying to do stuff original and not like flat out copy and paste. I'm trying to find the best way to honor this stuff, because we all know that when you sign up with these companies and you give them these ideas, you sign it away and they own it, whether they decide to go through with it or they cancel it or what. Once they make those decisions, once you sign that contract, it's out of your hands unless they decide to have something in it where you can take it back, or they sell it back to you, which they don't really do, because if they think they can make money off it in the future, off of some reboot or re-release, whatever, they'll do it. So I don't know, but that is my thought with all this. I think that this is something that should happen. Hopefully it comes back soon. Maybe the fact that he released it just now, randomly 20 years later, is maybe a foreshadowing of the future. Perhaps when people see the excitement that people have for this, Disney and Square will be like, hey, there's money to be made in this. Maybe that'll be a thing. I don't know. But hopefully him releasing this finally will bring some great things to the table. But there you have it. My outro is just this. I'm not even going to outro with the same thing, because I'm recording this for different platforms all at once. So if you have an idea, if you have a passion, you shouldn't let someone stop you from doing it. Especially if it's like, only if it's something that is positive and doesn't hurt anybody. It's something that is wondrous, full of positivity, and just is something that is a beautiful thing. That's what I mean, because there are some sick people out there that have passions and stuff that I just don't get. But anyway, if you believe in something, don't let someone stop you. Don't let someone's words or actions stop you. Do it. And if you can't find a way to do it through means that are typical, like if you want to make a cartoon, but you don't have the resources, you want to maybe go through a company to do so, and you get rejected. Try a different company. Like Adventure Time got rejected from Nickelodeon, got picked up by Cartoon Network. Look what happened to Adventure Time. Maybe you can't do it through a cartoon form. Maybe you can't do it through an industry. Make a comic. Maybe you can't do a comic. Make a book. That's what I'm doing. My ideal thing of this would be a cartoon and a video game. I don't have the means to do that, so I write a book. So hopefully someday in the future, it can become that. But until then, I'm at least making those steps right now. I'm making the steps I can right now, and that's what's important. Make the steps that you can now, so you're that much closer tomorrow. All right. So, with that in mind, I hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'm glad I was able to get this out of my system. I'm probably going to go on Wisdom and talk about it too. But there you have it. You all have a great day, and thanks for checking in. I'll see you in the next escape.